Dear viewers, today, we will open one of the darkest 10 most tragic pages in the world of hip-hop. A story that shook millions of people around the world. A story that many people talk about, but few know all the details. We're going to talk about the death of rapper DMX, and it's a story full of mystery. Are you ready to dive into a world of mystery, betrayal, and tragedy? Before we begin, don't forget to give us a like if you're interested in this topic and subscribe to our channel so you don't miss new videos. Part 1. Birth of a Legend. The story of DMX begins in Mount Vernon, New York, where a boy named Earl Simmons was born on December 18, 1970. His life was full of hardships from the beginning. His father left the family when Earl was only 7 years old, and his mother, suffering from depression, could not provide her son with a normal life. Earl's childhood was spent in poverty, amidst brutality and crime, which left a deep imprint on his future. Earl grew up on the streets, where he learned to survive. Already in his teens, he embarked on a path of crime, began stealing and then using drugs. It was a world where only the strongest could survive. Perhaps it was then that the inner demon, which would later haunt him throughout his life, was born. But despite all the hardships, Earl had one refuge: music. He began to rhyme to express his emotions, to vent the anger and pain that had accumulated over the years of suffering. Thus was born DMX, a name that would soon come to symbolize struggle, survival, and pain. But who would have thought that this boy who grew up in poverty and crime would become one of the most influential figures in hip-hop history? Part 2. Rise to Fame. In the early 1990s, DMX began his rise to fame. His style was unique, aggressive, hard-hitting, yet emotional and deep. He spoke for the streets, for those who lived in poverty and suffering, and his voice instantly won the hearts of millions. In 1998, DMX released his debut album, It's Dark, Can't Hell Is Hot, which instantly skyrocketed to the top of the charts. The album went platinum, and DMX became a new hip-hop star. It was followed by hits such as Rough Riders Anthem, Get At Me Dog, and many others. His music became a symbol of an era, a reflection of an entire generation's pain and struggles. But what were the real reasons for his success? Was it just his talent and charisma, or were there people behind it who knew how to use him for their own ends? Leave your thoughts in the comments. Do you think DMX could have achieved such success without the influence and support of his entourage? Part 3. Demons and the Fall. Despite all of his accomplishments, DMX continued to struggle with inner demons. His addiction to drugs and alcohol became increasingly uncontrollable. He repeatedly entered rehab centers, but each time he returned to his old habits. What drove him to this path of self-destruction? Why couldn't the man who had everything find peace? In the 2000s, DMX's career began to fade. His drug arrests, fights, and disorderly conduct all became a dark shadow that overshadowed his life. It seemed to many that his star was already extinguished and he would never return to the top again. But was that really the case? What if behind all these problems were people who wanted to control him, to use his weaknesses to their advantage? Maybe they saw him not only as a talented artist, but also as a tool to achieve their goals. How many times he tried to break out of this prison, but every time he came back. What if his environment didn't give him a chance to escape, keeping him trapped in addiction and chaos? Do you think his addiction could have been used as a tool of manipulation? Write your theories in the comments. Part 4. Tragic Last Days. The year 2021 was a fateful one for DMX. On April 2nd, he was hospitalized after suffering a heart attack caused by a drug overdose. Doctors fought for his life, but a week later, on April 9th, he passed away without regaining consciousness. This news shocked millions of his fans around the world. But what really happened in these final days? Many believe his death was no accident. Too many questions remain unanswered. Who was with him that day? Why didn't anyone stop him, knowing his weakness for drugs? And most importantly, was it really an overdose, or was there something more behind his death? Some sources claim that the overdose may have been intentional. DMX was known for his conflicts with labels and people in the music industry. What if his death was planned to get him out of the way? This isn't just a conspiracy theory. There are real facts that raise questions. Why was medical attention rendered so late? Why didn't the people near him call an ambulance immediately? What if they knew what happened but for some reason didn't want to save him? There are too many mysteries here to write it off as a simple accident. Part 5. DMX's Legacy. After DMX's death, his music took on a new meaning. His songs became an anthem for those struggling with inner demons. They speak of pain, suffering, and hope for salvation. He became a symbol of struggle, a man who, despite all the difficulties, did not give up until the very end. But could his tragic death have been avoided? Perhaps if he had been offered help earlier, if his environment had not pushed him to self-destruction, he could have lived longer and continued to delight us with his music. Do you think his loved ones and coworkers could have done more to save him? Did DMX have a chance to be saved, or was his fate sealed? Write your opinion in the comments. We care to hear your votes. Part 6. Conclusion. Reflections on DMX's death. DMX's death has left many questions and even more mysteries. The legend is gone, but what remains is his music, in which all of his pain, passion, and struggle can be heard. He was and still is the voice of an entire generation, but his tragic death leaves a bitter aftertaste. What really happened in those fateful days? An accident or a tragic inevitability? We'll never know the whole truth, but one thing is for sure. DMX was a man who left a mark in the hearts of millions of people. If you liked this video and want more stories like this, give us a like and subscribe to our channel. Also, don't forget to share your thoughts in the comments. What do you think really happened to DMX?